We begin our tour today in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, where our first stop is the historic Colonial Theater, built in 1903. The Colonial began as a venue for live stage shows, and it eventually became a movie theater as well, showing silent films with live piano accompaniment, and later showing talkies when they came along in the 1920s. The Colonial's biggest claim to fame is its appearance in the 1958 film, The Blob. The Blob is the story of a mysterious entity from outer space that absorbs other life forms and grows larger in the process. After a couple of teenagers see something fall out of the sky, they seek out the fallen object. They find a man who has already encountered the Blob, which is now painfully stuck to his hand. The kids drive the man to the local doctor, thus kicking off the plot line in which they repeatedly try to warn the adults of the town about a giant monster that's eating people, and are not believed.
It's kind of like a mass that keeps getting bigger and bigger. Maybe the thing you saw was a monster?
We're gonna find this thing, and we're gonna make people believe us.
That is, not until the Blob oozes its way into the movie theater and consumes a bunch of the townsfolk.
Into the theater!
The sequence in which crowds run screaming out of the front doors of the Colonial Theater has become an iconic moment in film history. The theater was closed when we stopped by, so we only got as far as the entryway inside the outer doors. But as you can see, the inside is nicely preserved, and in recent years the theater was expanded into the next door property, which still has its historic bank building exterior. So the theater is actually much larger than it looks from the outside. There's a commemorative plaque on the wall of the projection room where the Blob first enters the theater in the film. So here's a picture of that since I didn't get to see it myself today. There are lots of events here though, so I'm sure I'll be back eventually. We walked around a bit and then drove to our next stop in Phoenixville. Our next stop is the doctor's house from the Blob, the doctor who gets killed in the beginning of the Blob. Yeah, so I don't know what the house is now. There's a sign outside, so we'll go see what it is. I don't think it's like a private residence. Okay, so this is the house. I can see there's a sign up there. Let's go see what it is. Yeah. It's a hair salon. This house was built in 1870, according to what I found online. And there's like a detached garage back there on the property too, which I don't think was in the movie. Not sure, I don't think so. A lot of nice historic homes on this street. What happened there?
Bullets.
Civil War bullets? Musket ball? Here we are. So this was a grocery store in the movie, and now it's a Dollar General. In the movie, the theater, the store, and the diner are all located basically right next to each other, but in reality, these locations are in 3 different towns, and the diner is actually about 16 miles away from the theater. The Downingtown Diner is where the climax of the film takes place, and it was a little difficult to get the exact history of this place, but here's what I managed to piece together. It seems that the original Downingtown Diner building that was used in the film was actually moved to Hollywood afterward to be used in other films. A new diner was built here right on top of the same basement. The new building was called Chef's Diner, and from what I've read, the owner of Chef's didn't want to continue the association with the Blob. In 2013, this place reopened as the Downingtown Diner again, with new owners and a newly renovated interior. As you can see, the diner is once again promoted as being the home of the Blob, which I think was a good decision, and the original basement where some of the scenes were shot still remains.